Good evening, and welcome. Tonight, history invites you to contemplate one of humanity's greatest mysteries, a book that exists, that you can touch, photograph, analyze, but that no one can read. A 240-page manuscript covered in elegant handwriting in a language that doesn't exist, illustrations of plants that grow nowhere on Earth, incomprehensible cosmological diagrams, naked women bathing in fluorescent green liquids. For over 6 centuries, this book has defied the world's greatest cryptographers. Alan Turing, the man who decrypted the Nazi codes, failed. The FBI failed. Modern supercomputers failed. The manuscript keeps its secret with an almost supernatural stubbornness. Close your eyes. Imagine a dusty library in Italy, the year 1912. A Polish antiquarian opening a forgotten chest, discovering this strange volume. Imagine the vellum pages yellowed by time, covered with symbols that look like writing, but perhaps aren't. Imagine the obsession that seizes anyone who tries to pierce its mystery. Tonight, you'll explore the fascinating history of the Voynich Manuscript, from its mysterious creation in the 15th century to modern decipherment attempts. You'll discover the wild theories, the false breakthroughs, and perhaps you'll understand why some secrets must remain secrets. Settle in comfortably, breathe slowly. The mystery begins. It's 1912 in the Italian countryside near Rome. Villa Mondragone, a former papal residence, now houses a community of Jesuits going through financial difficulties. To survive, they've decided to sell part of their ancient library. Wilfrid Michael Voynich, an antiquarian of Polish origin established in London, has heard about this sale. At 48, he's a man with a fascinating past. Revolutionary in Russia, imprisoned in Siberia, escaped, refugee in England, where he became one of Europe's most respected rare book dealers. That day, the Jesuits lead him to a dusty room where dozens of medieval manuscripts are stored. Voynich methodically examines each volume, evaluating their value, rarity, condition. Then he opens a wooden chest and comes across this, a manuscript of about 240 pages, bound in vellum, covered with writing he doesn't recognize. Voynich speaks Russian, Polish, German, English, Latin, ancient Greek fluently. He's handled thousands of medieval manuscripts. But this writing, it's different. The letters are elegant, cursive, traced with confidence. It's clearly not scribbling. It's a coherent writing system. He turns the pages. The illustrations strike him immediately. Plants drawn with care but that he doesn't recognize. Circular diagrams evoking astronomy or astrology, but with unknown symbols. And then, these strange drawings of naked women in what looks like complex plumbing systems, bathing in colored liquids. His heart beats faster. As a rare book dealer, Voynich knows how to recognize value. This manuscript is either an extraordinary discovery or an elaborate hoax. But either way, it's fascinating. He buys it, along with 30 other manuscripts, and brings it back to London. This will be the beginning of an obsession that will consume the rest of his life and many other lives after him. Voynich immediately begins looking for experts capable of deciphering the manuscript. He contacts the best cryptographers, linguists, botanists of the era. He has each page photographed and sends copies across Europe and America. The response is unanimous. No one has ever seen anything like it. In the manuscript, Voynich discovers a letter dated 1665 or 1666, written by Johannes Marcus Marci, rector of the University of Prague, addressed to the famous Jesuit Athanasius Kircher. The letter recounts that the manuscript once belonged to Emperor Rudolph II of the Holy Roman Empire, who supposedly bought it for 600 gold ducats, a colossal sum at the time, convinced that it had been written by the legendary Roger Bacon, the 13th century Franciscan monk considered a precursor of the scientific method. This royal provenance makes the manuscript even more mysterious. Why would an emperor pay a fortune for an unreadable book? For decades, the manuscript's dating rests on assumptions. But in 2009, Yale University, which has owned the manuscript since 1969, authorizes a carbon-14 analysis of the vellum. The results arrive in 2011. The parchment was made between 1404 and 1438, with 95% probability. This discovery is crucial. It definitively eliminates Roger Bacon, died in 1294, as a possible author. The manuscript dates from the early 15th century, during the Italian Renaissance, an era of intense intellectual, artistic, and scientific activity. But this raises a troubling question. If someone in the 15th century created a fake manuscript in an invented language, why use new and expensive parchment? Medieval forgers typically used old scraped parchments to give an appearance of authenticity. Creating from scratch a 240-page manuscript in coherent writing would represent titanic work. For what purpose? The Voynich Manuscript is divided into 6 distinct sections, identifiable by their illustrations. Botanical section, folios 1 to 66. The largest section. It contains drawings of 113 different plants, accompanied by paragraphs of text. The plants are carefully drawn, showing roots, stems, leaves, flowers. But here's the problem. No botanist in the world recognizes these plants. Some vaguely resemble known species. One flower could be a sunflower, another a pansy, but the details never match. The proportions are bizarre. Some have roots that look like grotesque tubers. Others have flowers with petals arranged in ways impossible in nature. Astronomical section, folios 67 to 73. Contains circular diagrams evoking calendars or star charts. We see suns, moons, stars. But again, the arrangements correspond to no known constellation. No identified calendar system. Biological section, folios 75 or 84. This is the strangest. It shows drawings of small naked women, mostly blonde, bathing in basins interconnected by a complex network of pipes. The liquids they're bathing in are colored: green, blue, red. Some women have crowns, others hold objects. What does this section represent? A gynecological medicine treatise? An alchemical text about bodily humors? An esoteric ritual? No one knows. Cosmological section, folios 85-86, contains larger and more complex circular diagrams with concentric rings filled with text and small human figures. Pharmaceutical section, folios 87-102, shows drawings resembling apothecary jars containing plant parts. Each drawing is accompanied by short paragraphs of text. It's clearly some kind of pharmaceutical formulary or recipe collection. Recipes section, folios 103-116. Only text, organized into short paragraphs, often beginning with a star or stylized flower. It looks like a collection of recipes or instructions. Analysis of the writing reveals several fascinating characteristics. The writing is fluid and natural. It's not the hesitant work of someone inventing symbols as they go. It's written with confidence, quickly. There are very few corrections. The author knew what they were writing. The text contains about 170,000 characters, forming about 35,000 words, separated by spaces. The writing system uses between 20 and 30 distinct symbols, depending on how you count them, similar to European alphabets. But here's what makes the text so strange. The letter frequency doesn't correspond to any known natural language. Some words repeat far too often. The most frequent word appears 300 times, much more than li or the in natural languages. There's very little variety in word length. Most are 4 to 6 characters. Natural languages have more variation. Some symbols only appear at the beginning of words, others only at the end, others only in the middle. It's strange but not impossible. Arabic has different forms depending on position in the word. Troubling thing, the text shows statistical properties that correspond neither to natural languages nor to simple codes. It's in between, too structured to be random, too bizarre to be natural. In 2013, linguists apply modern computational analyses to the text. They discover that the manuscript follows Zipf's law, a mathematical property observed in almost all human languages concerning word frequency. This suggests it's really a language, but which one? The first cryptanalyst to publicly announce having deciphered the manuscript is William Romain Newbold, professor of philosophy at the University of Pennsylvania. In 1921, he organizes a spectacular conference before the American Philosophical Society. Newbold claims to have discovered that the visible text is just a facade. The real information would be encoded in tiny marks, microscopic scratches on the letters. Using a powerful magnifying glass, he claims to see a second level of text. According to Newbold, once decoded, the manuscript reveals stupefying scientific secrets. Descriptions of galaxies observed through telescope, diagrams of biological cells seen under microscope, theories about human reproduction. The author would be Roger Bacon, who supposedly invented the telescope and microscope in the 13th century, 3 centuries before their official invention. The scientific community is dazzled for about a year. Then criticism begins. Other researchers examine the microscopic marks and realize they're simply the natural cracking of 500-year-old ink. Newbold was seeing what he wanted to see. His method allowed him to read anything in any random marks. In 1931, John Manley, cryptanalyst from the University of Chicago, completely destroys Newbold's theory in a devastating critique. Newbold, humiliated, dies shortly after. His solution is definitively refuted. William Friedman is a living legend of cryptanalysis. He broke Japanese codes during World War II, headed the NSA. If anyone can decipher Voynich, it's him. In 1944, Friedman forms a study group dedicated to the manuscript. The first study group, composed of professional cryptanalysts. They work on the manuscript during their breaks for years. Friedman develops a fascinating theory. The text would be written in a philosophical artificial language, a type of constructed language popular in the 17th century, where each word is systematically created to encode its meaning. For example, all words for plants might start with the same prefix, followed by syllables indicating color, size, medicinal use. Friedman spends decades trying to find the word construction system. He fails. Despite all his expertise, the manuscript resists. In 1970, aging and frustrated, he gives up. Before his death, he'll say, "I spent too much time on that damned book." Philosopher Robert Brumbaugh proposes that the manuscript is written in abbreviated medieval Latin according to a shorthand system. He claims to have deciphered a few words, centaur, Taurus. But when other researchers test his method, it produces gibberish. Theory rejected. Leo Levitov, former intelligence officer, publishes a book claiming the manuscript is a liturgical text of the Cathars, a heretical Christian sect of the Middle Ages. The text would be an Occitan mixed with Flemish, describing a collective suicide ritual called Endura. His decipherment transforms the text into something like, "Pink cow dances under blue moon with sword of fire." Linguists quickly show that his method is absurd. Theory rejected. Gordon Rugg, computer science researcher, proposes a radically different theory. What if the manuscript was an elaborate hoax created by a 16th century forger to swindle Rudolf II? Rugg demonstrates that it's possible to create text having the statistical properties of the Voynich manuscript using a Cardon grill, a cryptographic tool of the era. With this method, someone could quickly produce pages of apparently coherent but totally meaningless text. It's troubling. This would mean that generations of cryptanalysts wasted their lives searching for meaning in sophisticated nonsense. But Rugg's theory has a problem. If it's a hoax, it's the most elaborate and expensive in history. 240 pages of new vellum, hundreds of detailed illustrations, hours of meticulous work. To fool whom? How did the forger know Rudolf II would pay? And if the emperor discovered the deception, the forger risked execution. British linguist Stephen Bax announces having identified 14 symbols by comparing them to plant and star names in different medieval languages. He believes the language is Proto-Romance, an ancestor of Latin languages. Many are skeptical. Other linguists test his method and obtain contradictory results. Bax dies in 2017 before being able to convince the scientific community. In 2018, researchers from the University of Alberta feed an AI with the manuscript's text. The algorithm concludes that the underlying language is probably Hebrew, but written with missing vowels and in disorder. The AI deciphers the first sentence as, "She made recommendations to the priest, to the man of the house, to me, and to the people." It's grammatically correct, but makes no sense in the context of botanical illustrations. Other teams using other AIs obtain different results: Turkish, Arabic, Nahuatl, Aztec language. Each AI sees a different language according to its training. The manuscript even resists supercomputers. Some researchers believe the manuscript is a medical or pharmaceutical treatise written in code to protect trade secrets. In the Middle Ages and Renaissance, doctors and apothecaries often coded their most precious recipes to avoid theft. The manuscript's botanical and pharmaceutical sections support this theory. The baths with naked women could represent balneological therapies, very popular at the time. The imaginary plants could be symbolic rather than literal botanical representations. But why also code the illustrations? And why use an entirely invented writing rather than a simple substitution cipher? Medieval alchemy often used symbolic language to describe transformation processes. The naked women in baths could represent alchemical substances undergoing purifications. The plants could be alchemical symbols. Emperor Rudolf II was obsessed with alchemy. His court in Prague housed many alchemists, including John Dee and Edward Kelly. Perhaps he bought the manuscript, thinking it contained the secret of the Philosopher's Stone? Some see in the manuscript an esoteric or occult text, perhaps related to Kabbalah, Hermeticism, or other mystical traditions. The circular diagrams could represent cosmic spheres, angelic worlds, stages of spiritual initiation. This theory would explain why the text is so obscure. Esoteric texts are intentionally opaque, accessible only to initiates. What if the manuscript was simply written in a language no one has yet identified? A language spoken by a small community in the 15th century, perhaps extinct since? The problem: we know most European languages of the 15th century, and the statistical properties of the Voynich text don't correspond to anything known, neither Indo-European languages, nor Semitic languages, nor Asian languages. Unless, what if it was a constructed language? Not to deceive, but to create a precise philosophical or scientific communication system. Such languages existed. John Wilkins created his philosophical language in 1668. Perhaps someone had the same idea 2 centuries earlier. Let's return to the hoax theory. Imagine the scenario. We're in the 16th century. A talented but poor artist decides to create an ancient mystical manuscript to sell to a wealthy collector. He knows Rudolf II pays fortunes for occult curiosities. He invents a coherent writing system, draws imaginary plants realistic enough to seem authentic, but bizarre enough to seem exotic, adds mystical diagrams, naked women for sensational appeal. He artificially ages the manuscript, forges a false provenance. This would explain everything. Why no one can read it, because there's nothing to read. Why the plants don't exist, because they're invented. Why the text has strange statistical properties, because it was generated with a mechanical method. But then, who was this brilliant forger? And why has his hoax resisted 6 centuries of investigation? There's a strange thing about the Voynich manuscript. It destroys people who dedicate themselves to it. William Newbold died humiliated by his public failure. William Friedman spent 26 years on the manuscript, admitting at the end that it was wasted time. Wilfrid Voynich himself could never resell it at the price he hoped for, despite all his efforts. Dozens of researchers have devoted years, sometimes decades, to this manuscript. They've seen their academic careers stagnate, their colleagues mock them, their hopes for breakthrough crumble. The manuscript becomes an all-consuming obsession. Why? Because there's something hypnotic about this mystery. Each page seems about to reveal its secret. Each symbol almost resembles something familiar. You always have the impression of being one step away from the solution. It's like a puzzle whose pieces would almost, but not quite, have the right shape. Frustrating, obsessive, irresistible. The Voynich Manuscript has become the ultimate symbol of the indecipherable mystery. It has inspired novels, films, works of art. It appears in popular culture as the absolute enigma. In 2005, artist Luigi Serafini creates the Codex Serafinianus, a deliberately mysterious illustrated book in an invented language, a direct homage to the Voynich. Serafini says he wanted to recreate the experience of a child looking at a book they can't yet read. Perhaps that's it, ultimately, the true nature of the Voynich Manuscript. Not a text to decipher, but a work of art that celebrates mystery itself. A book whose function isn't to be read, but to remain unreadable. A mirror in which each observer projects their own obsessions, theories, desires. Today, the Voynich Manuscript rests in a climate-controlled vault at Yale's Beinecke Library. It's cataloged under call number MS408. All its pages have been digitized in high resolution and put online for free. Anyone who wishes can download them and try their luck at decipherment. Thousands of people do so each year. Professional cryptanalysts, linguists, passionate amateurs, conspiracy theorists, mystics, pranksters. All convinced they'll be the one who finally solves the mystery. Perhaps one of them will succeed. Perhaps a new technology, quantum artificial intelligence, neuro-linguistic analysis, will finally break the code. Perhaps in 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, someone will announce, "I've deciphered the Voynich Manuscript." Or perhaps not. Perhaps the manuscript will keep its secret eternally. Perhaps that's its profound nature, to be the book that cannot be read, the enigma that cannot be solved, the mystery that cannot be pierced. And perhaps that's better this way. In a world where everything seems explainable, measurable, comprehensible, where every question finds its answer on the internet in seconds, the Voynich Manuscript reminds us that authentic mysteries still exist. Things we don't understand, secrets that resist. It's comforting in a way. It reminds us that the universe is vaster than our understanding, that there's still room for wonder, for mystery, for the unknown. Somewhere in a Yale library, 240 pages of vellum continue to keep their secret. The elegant symbols traced 6 centuries ago haven't changed. The impossible plants still bloom on their yellowed pages. The naked women still bathe in their green liquids. And no one, absolutely no one, knows what it means. Perhaps no one ever will. And perhaps that's perfect this way. Good night, and may your dreams be filled with mysterious symbols and inviolable secrets, like the eternally silent pages of the Voynich Manuscript.